Welcome to the first learning module of Bio 181. Since you are seeing this, you have navigated successfully to the course webpage and been able to download all of the materials that you need, so I'm not going to go through all of that. But our first goal here in this lecture is to talk about the course mechanics primarily. But before we do that, what I would like to do is to discuss first the philosophy. It's very important that we all understand why it is that we are here taking this course and what this course is all about. And I think the way to start is to look at this situation here. What you're looking at is a hospital room in Liberia, Monrovia, Liberia. And when we usually go into a situation like this and we see people, the person that we tend to focus on is the patient, the person here lying in the bed. This person is not happy, I can tell you that right now. This person is suffering from a very, very nasty disease, and here's what this disease is like. This person is in extreme pain, and they are also suffering a very, very high fever, but you notice they don't have a bunch of blankets on. If you ever get a fever, you know you want to sort of get all nice and snuggled up in something, and that actually helps the fever progress, which is what your body is trying to do. In this case, this person will not tolerate that. And the reason is that essentially anything that touches his skin, anything with any weight at all that touches this person's skin, causes extreme pain. So this person is in extreme pain, has high fever, and is suffering. Now, the person is barely conscious in this state, and they are beginning to what is referred to as bleed out. They're starting to bleed from their eyes, they're starting to bleed from their ears, their mouth, their nose, all sorts of places. Now, that person needs help. If they don't get solid, good help, they're not going to survive. They have a very, very small chance of survival. Interestingly enough, this is not the person I want to focus on. I want to focus on this person here. This is a gentleman by the name of Kent Brantley. Dr. Brantley is an American. He went over to Monrovia to help in 2014 people like this. He was actually doing two things. One, he was trying to help treat these people who were sick and suffering. And two, he was trying to figure out what it was they were suffering from. And the issue was, at the time that this began, no one knew exactly what the pathogen was. And it wasn't just this one patient who had it. It was many other people who had it. And also what was scary about the whole thing was that the people who had it generally were in contact with other people who also had the disease and had already died from it. So when we see a situation like that, as you now know after the COVID-19 epidemic, you realize that we take this very, very seriously, as well we should. So the Center for Disease Control dispatched a number of physicians to Monrovia. Other countries did the same to try to help work together to figure out what the pathogen was. So he's doing two things. He's helping treat this patient, but he's also, in addition, trying to discover what it is that is causing this person's suffering. All right, folks, here is the philosophy of the course. This gentleman right here, who's doing all of this, is in that room for a reason. Think about that. Why is he in that room? What brought him to that point? Okay, he may answer, as most people do, he wants to help people. Absolutely, of course he wants to help people. However, the vast majority of other human beings would love to help other human beings, but they can't do it. He can. Why can't he? Why is it that it's him and not somebody else who wants to help people in that room? It isn't just luck. It's because he has an extremely good education. He is one of the most highly educated people on the planet. He is one of the few, one of the 1/10 of 100th of 1% of all humanity who can go into that room, have any chance of keeping this person alive without killing himself in the process. That's what his training did for him. Ladies and gentlemen, his training began in this class, in Bio 181. He took a class just like this, and it was the very first class he took on his professional journey. Every single physician who currently practices essentially anywhere in the world has taken this course. Every single researcher started their journey to the profession of research by taking this course. That's what this course is about. So I want you to realize that we take this course very seriously. I take this course very seriously. And you are going to benefit greatly from having had it and having us be so serious about it. I know why you are taking this course. You're doing so because you want to do something important. This is not a throwaway course. This is not a hoop to jump through. This is the course that gets you to upper division study, that gets you into grad school, medical school, pharmacy school, nursing school, wherever it is you want to go, and gets you through it. That's our goal. That's what we want to do. So what did Dr. Brantley do? Well, he took these samples and he sent them back to the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, and other researchers also sent them to a very good laboratory in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and they discovered that what was killing these patients, this is not the only one, is this. This long stringy thing right here is the Ebola virus. That is what was causing that particular disease. Now, just recently, we've seen something very similar. Similar situations throughout the world, starting in China, of people getting sick with a very different kind of disease. This one hit the lungs and caused pneumonia. But we discovered what that disease-causing agent was. In this case, it was SARS-CoV-2. We'll talk about that later in this course. We discovered how to treat it. We're dealing with working on a vaccine. All of the people who were involved in all of that started their professional journey in this course, in Bio 181. Yes, this course is online, but it is a very serious course. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you to a point where you are thinking like a scientist, acting like a scientist, and starting your profession. So, ladies and gentlemen, as of this moment, you are a professional. Take that attitude. Adopt that attitude. What professionals can do is all sorts of wonderful things. Like, for example, all of this infographic came from the work of professionals who took this course. It lays out all of the epidemics that occurred from Ebola going all the way through 2014, which was the second to last epidemic that we had. Notice it's huge. You see these bars? Each one of these bars represents an Ebola epidemic. And the last one, 2014, was the biggest. And we have just finished another one just after this one, which was approaching this in size. As we now see, COVID-19, which is caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, is also one that we have to understand in a great amount of detail. And those are just two of literally hundreds of thousands of diseases that human beings face. The people who are involved in keeping us safe and keeping us alive if we get sick, or keeping us from getting sick in the first place, every single one started their journey in Bio 181. Every single one. We need to be aware of what this course is about just as we start. So I want to lay out the goals, and you now know the basic philosophy of the class. The goals are basically flowing from that philosophy. Primarily what we're going to do in Bio 181 is look at biology in what we call a skin-in sort of way. We're going to be looking at the cells and the way the cells interact together within a given individual. And we're going to spend a lot of time actually looking at what's happening inside cells so that we can understand how it is that cells interact. That's our goal in Bio 181, or our scope. Our scope in Bio 182 is skin out. How is it that organisms interact with the environment and each other and so forth, and that is going to come, of course, in Bio 182. So we are focused primarily on looking at the skin-in types of things, primarily cells. And what we're going to do specifically are two things. We are going to lay down the foundations of the theories of cell biology and molecular biology. And the theories are something we need to understand, because that word is used in a very strange way by a lot of people. We need to understand exactly what we mean when a scientist says theory. So we're going to start with that kind of thought process. What exactly is it that scientists mean when they say theory? Why is that so important? Why do we care? But we're also going to not just learn those theories, but we're going to learn the techniques that were used to develop those theories. We're going to learn some of the analytical techniques, the thought processes, the graphing techniques, the mathematical and statistical techniques. Now, we're not going to do a lot of that, but we're going to start, because modern science uses mathematics and uses statistics in order to deal with data, in order to design experiments, and in order to interpret the results of those experiments. So we're going to start there. We're going to do all of those things. We're going to look at theories. We're going to start developing the techniques for the skin in side of biology. So what that means is this. What we're focusing on is this. The students who are really the focus of this course are students who are majoring in biology. What that means is these are students whose lives will have biology as its centerpiece in the profession. We're talking about physicians. We're talking about professional research biologists. We're talking about biology teachers, both at the the professor level and the teacher level in high school, junior high, and so on. So that's the main sort of focus. That's the main group. But other students from other peripheral fields will also benefit from Bio 181. For example, if you're majoring in some other science like chemistry, physics, geology, anthropology, psychology, engineering, mathematics, any of those will also be well supported by Bio 181. If you are not, if you're in business or art or humanities, history, something like that, it's not that we don't like you, it's not that we don't want you. We certainly do. Just realize, though, this course is designed not for you. The course is designed for pre-professionals. We do have courses designed for non-majors. Bio 100 is one, Bio 105. Bio 100 is a general biology, covers a lot of the same material we cover here, but at a very different level and for a very different reason. Bio 105 is environmental biology, which looks at the biological sciences outside of the skin-in sorts of things that we're going to be talking about in this class. Bio 108, which is plants and society. All of those are designed for non-majors. So if you are not planning on going into the sciences in your profession, or you think you might not be going into the sciences in your profession, it might not be a bad idea to take one of these other biology classes first. Certainly, this is not a class that you should take if you feel that all you need to do is get a science background so that you can pass your curriculum for something else. It's not really designed to do that. That's what these other courses are designed for. Right? Now, here's what I'm going to warn you. If you're outside that field, if you're outside these fields of biology or the other sciences, mathematics, engineering, and you take this course, be prepared. One of two things almost always happens to every student that I've ever had in that situation. One, either their grade point takes an enormous hit, or two, they end up a biologist. That's what happens. One of my favorite students ever was a student who came into this class. He was an art major, and man, he looked like an art major. He was literally on the first day wearing a beret and a smock. And he came into the class, and I gave this spiel, exact same spiel. He stayed in the class, took the first exam, didn't miss a point. Took second exam, didn't miss a point. He got 100% on the third exam. And I asked him, why is it you took the class? Because you're an art major. Why would you take Bio 181 after I tried to scare you off? And he said, well, I didn't believe you. Okay, well, good for you. He is now a practicing cardiothoracic surgeon in San Francisco. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what this class does.